Hello. Yay, how's everybody doing? Happy Saturday. Oh, Liz is here. Let's invite her. There you go. Let's see. Hi. Hi everybody. I hope Liz is there. She is.
Hi, how are you?
Hi Liz, I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm so glad that we got on live. We had the most horrendous storms in the UK here just an hour ago, and I was like, I'm going to lose all internet. And so we're here, and the storm has passed. So meant to be.
Awesome. So the Uranus gods helped us this time.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Liz, for coming. I'm so excited to have Liz on. She's a beautiful soul. You can check her Instagram page here. And if you don't follow her, please follow her for great content. I'm so happy. So today we're going to talk about the shift of the nodes. Yeah. So this is coming soon. And please, Liz, can you introduce us? What are the nodes for people who don't know, and what is happening?
Okay, cool. So just a backdrop of that, kind of what I know that we've got a short time frame, but what I'd like to do is kind of do the basics, talk through what the nodes are, what this shift into Aries means. Then what's really exciting me is some of the stuff that's been happening in Aries leading up to it, which is why I think this is super powerful. And then maybe we can go back and we can reflect on what's that going to mean for us all. Okay, so I'm going to be really focused with the energy. Okay, so for people that don't know, the nodes are not planets. They're geometrical points that are created by the orbit of the sun and the orbit of the moon. This is a very kind of easy way of just, explaining it to people. But, in astrology, the sun is our identity and the moon is our subconscious self. So the nodes form this dance between the sun and the moon. So they're super important because they're another nuance, aren't they, in understanding. Yes. So, in our natal chart.
Yeah, I like when you said the dance of the moon and sun when they meet. I love it. I love that.
Yeah, and so, we have the nodes in our natal chart, and they very much show us our journey in our own lifetime, and they move every 18 months in the birth chart. But what we're going to be talking about today, just to confirm with people, are the transiting nodes. So where the natal nodes are our personal destiny, the transiting nodes very much represent the collective energy. And, so we have the idea that the south node is the gifts that we come in with. It's what we already do very well. And we're moving towards the north node, which is less comfortable. But it's not one or the other. This operates just like an opposition, doesn't it? It's all about balance. It's all about balancing the qualities of two opposite signs.
Absolutely.
And so, as a collective, we will be moving in mid-July from where we are now, which is Scorpio into Taurus, into Libra, into Aries. Very different flavor. Very different for all of us. So yeah, kind of what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I'm excited. For me personally, it's a reversal node return because I have my north node in Libra and south node in Aries. So for me personally, I'm excited. What will this bring me? Because there's always something that comes in your life.
Yeah.
Either when you have a return or when you have a reversal. So I'm excited.
Yeah. And that's really good for people to understand because the transiting nodes have an 18-year cycle. Yes. So when you have what Jasmine has just explained, which is your nodal return, it's that halfway point. So that's every 9 years. So, this is a big deal because the last time I just made some notes that the nodes, they were in December 2004. So, this is a long time ago. And, before that, it was April 1986. So a lot of people might have been babies or not born then. So, this is a big deal. So, this is a big transit for us.
Yeah, especially collectively, as we were going from this fixed energy to a cardinal. So it's like it's gonna be like a, from not wanting to change to actually wanting to change. So we are
100%,
right.
100%. Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my next thing, is to say that, you know, what we get is we've got a shift from the yin, water and earth signs. So they're very receptive, you know, that the energy is not as go, go, go. And they're fixed signs. So there was, yeah, like you said, didn't want to change. And, you know, there's, in balancing that seesaw, there was probably resistance to doing that.
Yes.
Now we're moving into the yang, fire and earth energy in cardinal signs. Very different. Very, very, you know, there's an intensity, there's a push to go and move forward.
Absolutely. And we're going to want to do it. Like, we're going to initiate. We're going to like, yes, I have to go. This is, you know. Yeah. I like that.
I think what's really interesting, obviously, you know, we're looking now, we're moving from Earth, North Node, into fire, cardinal fire. You know, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's where it all begins. And there's so much energy that I've picked up in this journey to get to where we're going to be in July, about beginnings, so many new beginnings. And I think what's interesting is that if we look at the rulers of the planet, we flipped from Scorpio into Taurus, which is traditionally ruled by Mars, into Taurus, Venus. Now we've switched. We're going from Libra, ruled by Venus, into Aries, ruled by Mars. So we have this kind of, what I thought was interesting is Venus in Taurus, for me, other than being about Mother Nature, it's very much about our self-worth, isn't it? You know,
Absolutely.
It's about our resources. And then I think we're moving into Aries, which at its very core is, who am I? And I just love this idea that, to me, so much of the energy in the last few months has really, really been dropping in and saying, who am I?
This reminds me,
the ego.
This energy of Aries, the North Node of Aries, reminds me of, I have a toddler, a 3-year-old toddler. The way he explores the world, just goes and, you know, wants to know, wants to learn, wants to make change. So this is like a great example of how I feel that this energy is going to be collectively for all of us. We just want to go and, you know, and let's do it. And, you know, it's going to be very fiery.
So this is very much, you know, if we just, before I go on and I look at the energy around it, you know, if we just look at the archetypes, you know, what we're looking for here is balancing Libra and Aries. You know, so we're coming from Libra, peace, harmony, and, you know, balance. You know, but what we can get in Libra, can't we, is people pleasing. Is we don't speak up because we want peace more than we want conflict. So it's a lovely ideal, but we can lose our sovereign self, can't we?
I mean, this is my nodes are in that. So I have been trouble in, you know, having that issue all my life, how to be me in the relationship, you know, how to, you know, be true to yourself, but still be able to relate to others without compromising them or yourself, right? So
100%. I mean, to me, the beautiful middle point of Libra Aries is when we win-win. You know, when I am true to myself and I hear you. And you can be true to yourself. And so to me, if we do too much Libra, then we have win-lose, we lose. Or we end up, Venus in Libra, defining our own self-worth through the other. You know, we become codependent. And that's not good either. You know, so this is about this win-win of balancing being true, Aries, and hearing the other. So this is the kind of backdrop that we have to it. And it's just fascinating. If we look at, I kind of looked at what's been happening in Aries since the beginning of the year. It's quite extraordinary. I mean, we had Jupiter in December, flew through Aries, 4.5 months. You know, it's normally spends a year in a sign. So Jupiter expands the sign it's in. So we have this energy of expanding Aries from the end of last year through to a couple of weeks ago. So, and during that, in March, we had that auspicious conjunction with Jupiter and Chiron in Aries at 14 degrees.
And it was the new moon. It was a
So
clip.
I'll come on to that. So let's layer it, because within the period of a few weeks, it was quite extraordinary, the energy in Aries. So we had Jupiter expanding and bringing a bigger picture, conjunct Chiron, which was looking at our wounds. And Chiron in Aries is this wound of who am I? You know, this wound of being true to myself. And so Jupiter expanded it, but in order for us to get a bigger picture of it, I think, in order for us to stand back and view it. And I think, you know, when we
it was like a prelude to this shiftal node, that the nodes are shifting, right?
100%. And you know, I think that you know, we Chiron has a 50-year orbit.
Yes.
And it's not a regular orbit. It spends 7 of those 50 years in Aries. And I think it spends that disproportionate amount of time, because that's the sign we need to do the most work in.
I love that.
You know, the fact that conjunction last happened in 1975. Like, this is big, you know. And what's really big is that it precedes the nodal change. So then, so if we kind of just sit for a minute, when that was a once in a 50 year, and that was in March, mid-March, then on the spring equinox, at the start of the astrological new year, we had the new moon in Aries at 0 degrees. The beginning of the beginning of the beginning. That was amazing. Like, the energy of newness it couldn't be more new, could it?
And plus all the planets were direct at that point. Like, nothing was retrograde.
The energy was like, let's move forward. And then, so that was the solstice, followed by, on the 20th of April, we had the solar eclipse, the next new moon, at 29 degrees of Aries. So we had 2 new moons, one at the beginning and one at the end of Aries.
I mean, this is also rare. Very. How often does this happen?
Yeah, and you know, like, mathematically, it just blows my mind. Right. So to me, that's why I was like, we've got to talk about this, because it's not just about the nodes moving in July.
I can feel your passion. I love it. And Katrina says, this is so interesting, great content. Liz, you are on fire. I can't stop listening to you.
Which is quite funny, because Aries is not that strong in my chart, but I do have Mercury there. So I obviously like to communicate about Aries.
So tell us your big threes. Tell us your big threes. People always ask.
So I have, interesting with what we're talking about, I have Taurus rising and I have Jupiter rising. So I'm very Taurus. I have a stellium in Pisces, including my sun, and I have a Gemini moon. So
and we're Gemini moon twins. Yes, so we already.
We're Gemini twins. So
nice.
So yeah, and then you know, my Mercury is fired up in Aries. So you know, you can see why I'm excited about.
I can sense it with all. It's so good.
Yeah. So kind of as if that wasn't enough, you know, we then have this quite extraordinary square that the nodes are making with Pluto moving. And so, you know, and that to me, it just, you know, so that the nodes are currently square to Pluto, which is just going back in, isn't it? It's going back into Capricorn. And I thought that was quite interesting nuance here, because it's in a square. So a transit in a square. Squares ask us to act, don't they? They have the planetary energy of Mars. And Mars rules Aries. So there, you know, look back to what you said. There is this fire that I think is going to be ignited in us, and we want
I think this year. I think 2023 is the year where we put the seed in, because it's all about that, and the square with Pluto and all this transformation. So we are putting the seed for a new future. I think this is the year when we do it.
Yeah, I do. And what I love about this kind of, you know, the history leading here is the question, and clients are coming to me, and I'm doing it myself, this really core, who am I, is deep. You know, it's because we've also had, you know, we've moved from Scorpio in the nodes. It's losing the ego, it's losing the mask. It's that really, really true sovereign self.
It was, I believe that, yeah, the Taurus Scorpio was kind of like, what are my values and my resources, and how can I share it with others? How can, you know, how can I, you know, it was like to understand this, sharing the resources with others. But now it's going to be about us and Libra, Aries. Yes.
Yeah,
completely.
And I mean, even on a collective level, you know, the kind of stuff that's been unfolding in the last, you know, 3 years, and, you know, I think people might be reflecting on, you know, maybe where have I not had any conflict, where have I maybe kept quiet to keep the peace, and really dropping in and asking and maybe questioning some things around them. I won't say too much on that, but, you know, I kind of think that, this, you know, this kind of, that maybe some questioning might be ignited. That's as much as I'll say on that one. But, you know, I think I love this sense of this true sovereign, because if we are, then we can meet win-win, you know.
Yeah,
which is actually what this is about.
Yeah, if you're not true to yourself, then, you know, what is happening? You know, like, who are we? What is this? What is going on with us? You can't even, then you can't relate to others because you don't know who you are, who are you relating to. You know, like, everything starts from here. Yes, that's true.
And you know, with this big energy squaring Pluto, you know, Pluto is stripping away what no longer serves us. You know, Pluto in Capricorn, it's going through that last bit of like questioning any authority that isn't working, any structures in our life that aren't working. You know, so to me, this nodal shift is really supporting this Pluto going into Aquarius, isn't it?
This whole reminds me, you know how people say, oh, can you please give me another chance? Can I have another chance? Well, this is it, guys. This is it.
Yeah.
This year is it's your second chance. So
yeah,
it's really starting over, clean start. You know, Pluto is going to clean up everything that doesn't serve you anymore, and you have this fiery energy. Yep. This is your,
and an energy, and an energy, that cardinal fire, that we can work with it. We can work with it. You know, the ruler is Mars. We want action. We want things to happen. So it's a very, very different energy, isn't it?
And exactly. And Mars is not going to go retrograde in this period at all. So it's going to be all direct, go, 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 right?
Yeah. Watch this space. Watch this space.
Unlike Venus, because Venus then on the south node, Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo. So there's going to be, you know, stuff from the past, and, you know, and you're going to have another chance to letting go stuff, right?
I hadn't thought of that. I kind of got fixed in the moving forward, but, you know, there's, you know, Leo is all about coming from the heart, isn't it? You know, if there's anything that Leo is, you know, in medical astrology, physiology, it is linked to the heart, Leo. And so it's another thing that is saying we have to be authentic, work on the heart chakra energy. When you drop into that, and actually, we're being asked to reflect on that, because if we do Aries right, we meet our sovereign self, and that's what's really important, isn't it?
I might even think that this retrograde Venus ruling the south node will help us actually take maybe the best part of us, the best gift to help us go forward. You know, she's going to also kind of clean it up, you know.
You know, because the whole, you know, I what I love about the nodes is that, you know, they teach us to really look at those polarities of the two opposing signs. And really invite us to look at how do we make that energy work, just like you would an opposition in anything in your birth chart. You know, how are we going to make that seesaw? You know, that's the analogy I use. You know, and we can ping from one to the other, but actually the aim is to balance them. So, you know, what are we being asked to balance here?
and we have enough time actually, because a year and a half is enough time to actually feel the energy and use it. It's not like, moon goes fast and Mercury goes fast, and but this is actually something you can work on, right?
Yeah.
You have enough time to
yeah. And it's quite interesting because it's kind of I had a look back, because I am actually old enough to remember the last two lots of 18 years, which a lot of people watching probably aren't. And it's really interesting because the nodes are quite positive in my chart, and they were really, these Aries times were really positive for me. I actually charted back. I got married in 1986, so I got married really young. Really young, in case anyone's listening, and a very long time ago. And then in 2004 was when I started my homeopathy studies. So they were really kind of really me things that have defined me. So I think that's really, like, I kind of thought that was quite interesting, and be nice for people watching this to go back and reflect, in those periods in their life. And so go back 18 years, 2004 to 6, if you're old enough, 1986 to 87, and then nuance it by doing 9 years, which is when they were reversed. So because this isn't just about what we've talked about. Astrology is how is it going to affect me? So, have a look at where Aries Libra falls in your chart, what houses it is, because they're going to be highlighted. So what houses does it fall in your chart?
So for me, I'm a late Virgo degree ascendant, right? So it's actually going through my first house and my seventh house.
Okay.
So it's going to be very interesting, to see. And usually nice things happen to me as well when I have this. So when I was 18, I started exploring the world in a very nice place. And when I was 36, I got not remarried, but I got a new my current husband. I met him and we started being serious at that time. So it always happened something nice. So I'm looking forward to it. As I said, I'm always trying to embrace the energy, not fight it. Although sometimes some energy is hard, but as long as you embrace it, I think it's good. So this is you're saying that you have this in your natal chart, Aries and Libra as well?
No. My natal nodes are Sagittarius to Gemini. So it's another Gemini that I have. I have to, I'm working towards finding my voice. Which is probably why it took me this long to actually get on and do anything live and go, hey world, this is me. Which is cool.
I love it because I think this is a great way to people to get to know each other. There's such a great community of astrologers here. Awesome. Well, what did you want to say? So do you want to say anything about collective more, or do you want to go down to personal a little bit?
No, I'm okay, unless there's I just think kind of the thing that really struck me more than anything was this. Actually, what I forgot to say is not only did we have Chiron conjunct Jupiter, we are going to have Chiron conjunct the nodal axis at 24 degrees. So when is
that happening?
I don't know. I did write it down, and I've not got it on this bit of paper. So we need to. It'll be when it's 24 degrees. So that's really not so long in the cycle of it. But I think it's just fascinating that we've got that. This is coinciding with this 7-year passage of Chiron through. And Chiron very much actually. If we reflect on the collective, because Chiron is where we integrate our higher divine self with our human self.
I like that.
Everyone, if you Google, it'll be, the wounded healer. But, I look beyond that. Chiron,
he's also a teacher.
Chiron is a dwarf planet that principally orbits between Saturn, the end of the material world, and Uranus, the transformational planets of higher thinking. And so just simply by looking at where it orbits astronomically, that's where I prefer when it's called the Rainbow Bridge. you know, because it's actually where we integrate our human self and our divine self. And, you know, the fact that we had Jupiter and now we have the nodes, I think that kind of adds a nuance to this, who am I?
So actually, a lot of people with this Chiron in Aries are going to have the opportunity to really heal themselves. All this, you know, identity crisis, I would say, you know, it's opportunity, guys, to actually, you know, say, this is me, you know, here I am, you know, kind of a.
Definitely. And, you know, I think that a lot of people do feel lost, you know, and a lot of people are not connected to the divine or their divine selves or their higher self or whatever you want to call it. You know, they feel very, very separate. I mean, that's actually, you know, if we move away from the astrology, separation and disconnection to me is the root of almost all problems that we see. And so I think there's this deep sense that as a collective, we may be a step closer to healing that. And that would be beautiful.
I feel that, yes, absolutely. Especially like recognizing human rights, you know, people who fight for their identity, who am I, they can be recognized now and, you know, tell them, yes, you are a part of our society. Yes, you know, I think it's going to be huge on that level, you know, just recognizing, you know, people who are different and embracing them, you know, as I think that's going to be very emphasized with this nodal axis.
And, you know, so we have so many positive energies, I think, you know, and Pluto, you know, I have Jupiter rising, okay, so I see a glass half full everywhere. I'm always looking for the medicine. Where's the answer?
I have a full 9th house. My Sun, Moon, and Mercury are in 9th house, so here you go. So I'm always seeing everything.
I kind of think, you know, with Pluto squaring it, we've got this chance to work square on transforming. Okay, so exactly, I'm with you. You know, the astrological energy is half the story. It's the kind of the energy. We get to choose what we do with the energy, you know. So once you know the energy, you choose.
I know some of my friends are going through this nodal return, so they're going to have a return in their personal life. So what is that? Why is that significant for those people? How is that significant?
Okay, so if I was looking at in a predictive reading, I would say that what we're doing, you know, again, we're looking at an opposition when we look at the nodal axis. Basically, we're looking at an opposition in a birth chart. We're looking at the south node and the north node, and how are we going to balance? But in that natal seesaw, if you like, it's weighted to the south node because the south node's comfortable. The south node's easy. The north node is less easy. But then again, you know, depends what other planets you've got there. Depends what the ruler's doing. It can be the opposite. People can feel the north node like a magnet. Sometimes they do it too much. So when we get this cross of the nodes crossing that, what I think is you get that balancing, actually, because you're inherently, the transits are balancing what's there natally. So I kind of, you know, to me, and actually balance, you know, as coming from a homeopath, everything's about, we inherently want homeostasis. We want balance, you know, and actually, you know, that it's finding that balance in our charts. So, you know, it's where do we find it? You know,
and it depends also on the house where it is, and you know, and other aspects, and of course, and the rulers of the nodes, what happening. I just want to mention this book. Everybody knows this book. This is the book. So Jen Spiller, this is a book about the nodes. So I would recommend for everybody who's interested more into nodes and what does it mean. It's a great book. Anyway, I just wanted to
I read that book, and I think it's very accessible for people who aren't astrologers, because it gives lots of kind of real life examples of how it might play out.
Liz, my husband is reading. He's reading for a book. He's like, you know. I mean, the only thing I would say is kind of like, one of my bugbears is kind of like what we would call cookbook astrology, which is, you know,
I have a sun in X. End of
no, you have to,
I have a this here. And, you know, actually, when, you know, to me, I wouldn't just be looking at the nodes, I'd be looking at the rulers of the nodes. Where are they? What houses are they in? What aspects do they make? Because it's all about individualizing and then looking at the totality of the chart. But actually, in terms of just understanding, actually, the astrological signs, that book was great because it gave you loads of practical examples of how does Libra and Aries play out in your life. So yeah, and it was very easy read.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really interesting. So I kind of just want to put it out there. So for people who want to know more about
kind of what I said at the beginning, I think that you know, if you know a little bit about your own astrology, then you'll know probably your sun and moon. The next thing I would then jump onto is look at your nodes, because that's this dance of the sun and the moon, and there's a story there, you know, and
yeah, people, you know, people who ask themselves, why am I here? What is going? What is this all about? So nodes are kind of the starting point of where you would find the answer. Yeah, I would say, like a right. Yeah. I think it's a this year is going to be a great opportunity for everybody really to get out of their shells and show their face, who they are. And I think everybody's going to be motivated and encouraged, because Aries is also, you know, a bull.
I mean, don't forget, you know, Aries, it's all about courage. And, you know, I mean, okay, it can, in its negative spectrum, become anger, impulsive. But, you know, don't forget, when we're going to the North Node, we're going to something that's not comfortable. So hopefully for most people, this is them finding their bravery, finding their courage, finding their kind of their voice to speak out their truth.
Also to you know, to begin something new, to have a new start, you have to end something as well. So because this is about relationships as well, many relationships will break and then you will have a new life. So just be prepared. It's not, maybe it's going to be tragic for somebody and they will think, oh my God, but actually sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, as I say, you know, because
maybe I should tell my husband, who I married 37 years ago, that, hey, it's like, maybe not the new start.
But I had recently some clients and they were like, oh my God, what does this mean for me? I said, you know, when every door closes, the new one opens. So it's like always find that, you know, and you have to make space for your things. If you're already full, new things cannot come in if you don't make a little bit of space.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, this new, I mean, it was just all those two, you know, the solar eclipse and the new moon. It was just new energy. I mean, talk about, you said seeds. I love that. I love that idea that, you know, this is about the seeds that we're planting, and now this is the energy is going to help them grow, isn't it?
Many of us, because we don't live that long, won't see actually the fruits of all this, because this is going to be a change for, like, you know, 100, 200 years, 300 years. Because, you know, imagine a tree. You put a seed. How long does it take for a tree to grow, to give a fruit, right? So, you know, generation of our kids, not even our kids, but, you know, our grandkids and grandkids, they're going to actually think about this time and say, oh, this is when all started. I'm so excited. That's how I feel. So I'm so excited.
Well, you know, pair of Gemini moons, we get very excited about things.
That's true. That's true. I think we have lots of love. People say that we love us. They love us. They want to do another life. They said we had to do another life.
I'd be so happy to. I mean, two Gemini moons could sit and talk forever about astrology. So I love it. 100%, guys. Yeah, would love to.
Yeah. These are my friends. My Astro friends are always supporting me on lives. I love it. Thank you, Katrina. And Christina is here. She got a new baby. That's exciting. Thank you for joining. Yeah. So what time is it? Do we have more time to chat? Because I can check all. I can chat all day long.
I have no idea. Hang on. Let me look. It's just gone 1:30 actually. So if we're doing 30 minutes, if we're going to be really Virgo, let's be very strict and say we've done. And hey, let's do another one. Yeah, 100%.
We can do more. We can chat more if you want. I don't mind.
No,
maybe
I think, you know, I actually less is more. I'd like people, and when they watch the recording, really drop in.
I love it.
That sovereign self. Who am I?
I think that your Mercury in Aries and Gemini moon and all the combination, you're right on point, and I love it. Thank you, Liz, so much. Maybe we can do. I think there's a big Jupiter Uranus conjunction beginning of next year, but I want to prepare people for that. That's going to be huge as well. And we have a eclipse season in the fall.
Yeah, there's always something exciting, always. So lovely. Have a lovely rest of the day, rest of the evening, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you, and thank everybody, and talk to you soon. Yes. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.